Hello and welcome to Courtside with the Ashland University men's basketball team, brought to you by the Ashland University Journalism and Digital Media Department. I'm Miles Irvin, and today I'm joined by head coach of the Eagles, John Ellenwood. Coach, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
To start things off, you guys are now nearly halfway through your conference schedule, 6-3 so far. Where do you feel you guys are at now through 9 games on each side of the floor?
Well, I feel like we're getting more experience out of our freshmen and just getting more consistent effort. There's still some lapses there that we're trying to correct, but as the season goes on, these guys, the freshmen, the young guys, the redshirt guys, and the new guys that are freshmen are starting to come through the fog of seeing things on the floor, and that's something that will only get better with the second half of this season and going forward for them. So once they get through that fog, it's just a matter of time to see like how far they can get and progress as the year goes on. But it's just a matter of time before they get very comfortable out there, and it gets exciting when that happens.
Absolutely. Well, through this stretch, someone who's looked very comfortable recently has been Maceo Williams. He's put up staggering numbers all season long. What has stood out to you this season as he continues to put up his strong numbers?
Sure. It's just the consistency, because everybody's game plan is based upon stopping him, and it's like they're going to double him this way or that way. He's seen it all, but he's consistent with those numbers. The one thing he always is working on is his free throw percentage, and if he can continue to get more consistent with that, he's going to continue to put up those great numbers and then some. So, but it's just, he knows every game that this is how they're going to guard, or they're going to try to guard me, try to shut me down. The game plan is take away Maceo Williams, and yet he still produces. So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, for sure. Now on the outside, Cooper Davis is someone that has had some very big games this season. What have you seen from him overall?
Well, Cooper is a warrior. He's a guy that's going to play with a lot of emotion. He's very physical. When he's on, find a way to get him the ball. And I wish we could pass the ball a little bit better this year and find him more consistently. It's been kind of frustrating from the coaching standpoint, and I know it's frustrating on Cooper's end. But when we do find him, he usually makes a good play with it. He can as well shoot. He can get downhill. He's a great free throw shooter. You want him to use his physicality getting downhill, and he's done a good job of that.
Yeah, and I think something else that has stood out is that even when his shot hasn't fallen at certain points of the year, he's found those other ways to impact the game. Like on the glass, he's been a great offensive rebounder this year. How important is it for him to find other ways to help the team besides just shooting from deep?
Well, the other day he came out of the game and I told him, I'm very proud of you for getting downhill and getting to the basket. And then defensively, we try to praise him all the time when he plays defense. But he's so much better than when he got here. And again, his physicality helps with all that stuff. But when the younger guys see how physical he is in different areas of the game, he helps in a leadership standpoint of this is how hard you have to play. So, he's got to keep doing that. And, both those guys, Maceo and him, have both done a good job with leading our team through example.
For sure. Well, over the last few games, one of your most consistent guys has been Jason Moore. We've got to talk about him. What a boost he's been for this team. He's averaging 14 points over his last 6 games. From your view, what has changed for him this year?
Confidence. He's much more confident in when he gets the ball, and patience. I think first comes confidence in that, because once you get it, we've been telling him for this entire year, you're the strongest guy out there. He's got great footwork and speed and great touch. He just is starting to see things and apply them. When he was a freshman, it was really hard to see those things on a consistent basis, and now he's starting to get more consistent. But it all starts with him believing in himself, and his teammates believe in him, his coaches believe in him. And it's nice when him and Maceo are out there together. He's usually got a mismatch, and we want to take advantage of that. But the other thing is he's been doing this when Maceo's on the bench, and he's going against the same guy that Maceo's going against, and he's still producing. So I think he'd be leading the country, or definitely in the top 3 in field goal percentage if he took enough shots, and he might have by this week. but we're going to keep feeding him. And when Maceo leaves, that Jason's that next guy.
Yeah, I want to say Jason Moore shooting around 72% from the field, also a good free throw shooter for a big guy as well, so definitely getting it done. You mentioned those double big lineups with both Moore and Williams on the floor. We saw that over the last couple of games. How did you like those minutes for your guys, and what gives you the confidence that those two can work on the floor together?
Well, they want to do it, number one. And I think when you have two guys that come to you and say, hey, we want to play together, you find a way to make that work. And you got to get reps in practice and games. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but it's all an experiment. And we need to figure that out. Our original game plan was with another player who's hurt. And we went small. Usually you go smaller and play 4 out with one guy like a Maceo to space the floor. But when you have two dominant bigs, one of them is going to probably have a mismatch, and that's what Jason's doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in those last 2 games, you had the best 2 defensive outcomes in conference play so far, 55 points given up to Tiff and 65 against Cedarville. What did you see from those 2 matchups that can carry over in future games?
Well, I think there's a bought-in mentality, and defense is a team thing. It starts with the individual on the ball, but there's help defense and rebounding and finishing possessions. There's a will to, and if we're trying to spell out to our guys, if you play defense, then the result on the other end of the floor is better offense. So you have to feed your offense through your defense, and I think our guys are starting to understand that. The best points in basketball come from nothing that as coaches we draw up, but it's just a fast break, and because you already have a numbers advantage. So we've really tried to get our guys in practice to understand that, and we don't just get a rebound and stop as much as we used to. We're starting to push the ball after we get a rebound, just so our guys understand there's a reward to playing good defense and getting stops.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to be a big key emphasis for your upcoming games. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up next on Courtside, Coach and I are going to preview the team's upcoming matchup, so stay tuned. You're watching Courtside right here on AUTV. Welcome back to Courtside, right here on AUTV. Coach, it's time to take a look at the upcoming schedule for your team. Your next game is this Thursday when you host the Lake Erie Storm, who beat you guys pretty good in Paynesville a couple games ago. What's your mindset heading into a game like that?
We got to be more physical. They're a tough team right now, and they play an unbelievably physical style of basketball. So we got to every aspect of the game. We've got to be stronger and ready to a little bit more focused, but ready for that physicality that's going to come at us.
Lake Erie, a team that plays a lot of full court press with all the athletes and shooters they have. You guys have had a lot of reps playing against those traps and the full court pressure this year. How can this prepare you guys for the bigger games later in the season?
Well, they're all big, but there's a lot of teams that are going to this style of play, and honestly, like we're starting to expand it as well. It's something that you have to be prepared for, and it can't catch you off guard, or they're going to dictate the entire pace of the game. And you have to be able to answer that, be calm, be strong, and be physical, and just take care of the basketball. It worries me that we turned it over the other day against Cedarville 19 times, and a lot of those were our own stupid turnovers, and we have to take care of that ball when you play Lake Erie. They feed off those turnovers, and the other thing is the offensive rebounding. You can't give them a ton of offensive rebounds because they get a lot of high percentage shots off those offensive rebounds. So we want to limit them to one shot and take care of the basketball. It sounds easier than it actually will be, but they're a good team. They're playing well. Yeah,
should definitely be a good game. But after that one, it's off to Hillsdale for a game against the Chargers.
Yeah.
What's going to be the key for you guys on the road?
That's a shift in style of play. And one, it's a road game, so you just want to win by one. And it's a very tough turnaround when you go against a team that you're going up and down the floor with. And then all of a sudden you got Hillsdale is an old school motion team, and they're going to run you through a million screens. And the physicality that they present is through their screen actions and cuts, and it's more passing and cutting and screening. And it's not as much full court, but in the half court, you've got to be very physical because if not, they're going to embarrass you with some easy shots because of their screen actions. So there's a lot of focus with both those games. It starts with a mental toughness, and if we're mentally tough going through this week, then we're setting ourselves up for a really good stretch going into February. And if not, then we figure it out and we move on. But to stay in this conference race, it's one at a time. It's a really tough conference this year.
Yeah, and then looking one at a time, the next game against Lake Erie at home. Overall this season, you guys have done a terrific job at home, 7-1 inside of Cates Gymnasium. Has it been a point of emphasis this year to make sure to take care of your home court this year?
Yeah, it always is. You want to have a home court advantage. Honestly, I didn't know what our record was because I felt like a lot of these games have come down to the wire. And if you win them by 1 point, man, it just feels like a knockdown, drag-out fight, and you're just excited to get out of the game as a coach. But it's something where we want to keep this home court winning record going.
For sure. Well, last thing for you, any messages for the Eagle faithful as you prepare for the big game on Thursday?
Man, just come out. It's cold out. Come in the gym. It's always 70 degrees in there, and sometimes warmer if we get a lot of bodies in there. So, just cheer for these guys. They're fun guys to cheer for, and you got some really good opponents coming in. You're going to see a good basketball game, and hopefully an Eagles win.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck.
Thank you.
As a reminder, be sure to tune in to 88.9 WRDL for full live game coverage of the Eagles men's and women's basketball teams all season long. Additionally, a full rebroadcast can be found on Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Check local listings for air times and dates. I'm Miles Irvin saying thank you so much for tuning into Courtside right here on AUTV.